Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I am realizing my procrastinations, and I've actually had this orchid. This is a Vanda Orchid. I bought it as a little seedling. I think it was last year, probably early in the spring, and well, it was in a little cup, and it was doing okay. And then it got a little bit big, and I thought that the cup was a little too small. And I was going to repot it, but it never happened, and it's been sitting like this for about a year. So maybe I've had this orchid for about 2 years. They're absolutely beautiful when they grow and flower. This one is not near flowering size yet, but hopefully soon. Hopefully in the next year or two, I'll get something. But I'm actually surprised that it survived, as I pull off some dead parts to the leaves. If you can see here, the roots, what I do is it sits on my dresser, and I just I put it in my hand like this, and I run water over it until the roots are green. And then I go and put it back to where it was, and every couple of days I generally water it. And again, I'm surprised. It must really want to grow for me. It's still green. The odd leaves are a little bit yucky. But I have two main growing tips. Thought there was one more, but oh, I think there's one in here. So, but anyway, what I'm gonna try, anything is better than nothing, right? I've got some of these beads that have they're terracotta on the outside, and on the inside I've got one here. It's kind of got a charcoal base. So what these do is they're more for if you're soilless growing, hydroponics, I guess. So this material will hold on to water and fertilizer and all that special stuff. So these guys like to have really good air circulation around their roots. I will also put a little bit of Spagna Moss in there. I bought this bag of Spagna Moss. I was originally going to do it all in Spagna Moss, but whenever I see people use Spagna Moss, all the roots that develop within the sphagnum tend to die. So I didn't really want that. I feel like that's just going backwards. So I've been soaking this for a couple of hours, these terracotta beads. So I'm going to stick some of those in this pot. Just got a small orchid pot. Notice the holes in the side for good air circulation. Just going to stick some of these in there. Put some Spagna Moss in there in layers. The reason why I'm putting some Spagna Moss in there is so that some moisture gets held in. So I'm just going to take maybe I'll dunk it in some water first. I do have a fertilizer solution in there too. So I'm just sticking it in there. And now I'm just going to put a little bit of Spagna Moss around the roots. I'm not gonna go nuts with wrapping it in. I know that these prefer to have really good air circulation, and if I do that, it'll stay too moist, and then the root will rot. And I don't want that. So now I'm just gonna fill these beads up, and every couple of days I'll run this under water, get everything all nice and moist again. Oh, and I also have this one. This one I found on a potting bench about a year ago as well. I think it might be a dendrobium orchid, but I'm probably wrong. But again, same scenario, it never was in soil. But see how it's got some green tips on the roots, and it's also starting to grow a little baby. I don't know what it is about me and orchids. For some reason, they love to grow for me, and I really don't treat them well. Maybe that's why they grow well for me. I kind of get bored of orchids because for a long time they just stay in their leafy state. But when they flower, they're absolutely gorgeous, and I'm not bored. But actually, I had this Phalaenopsis orchid once, the moth orchid. It bloomed for over 2 years straight. Never stopped. And then I got bored of that flower. So I ended up cutting everything off, and it was doing all the fun stuff like on the flower spike it had the baby orchid plant growing, and I ended up cutting that up and planting it in soil, and I had a lot of fun with it, but it got a little boring. Just strange. You'd think that I would take a lot of pride in it. But anyway, so here we got these wonderful beads all in amongst, holding the moisture and some fertilizer, just filling it right up. And what I'll end up doing for watering, I'll fill up a bowl and just plunge the bowl in the water. There's beads in the bottom, makes it hard to do this. And what I maybe even fill up a sink so that it's right up to the top of the beads. Let the beads soak up as much water as they can in about 20 minutes, and then take it out and then put it back on its window ledge. This Vanda orchid really prefers direct full sun in the house. If it's grown outside, it could be grown in a partially shaded environment, diffused full sun, if that makes any sense. It likes high light to do really, really well, but it doesn't want the scorching summer sun heat. So anyway, here we go. Finally, this Vanda orchid is repotted. Finally, this is the first time in ages, and I'll keep you posted on its growth. See if it likes this soil or not. I think it will. I like it. I think it'll work just wonderfully. Got great air circulation, got a little bit of Spagna Moss to hold a little bit of moisture for a little bit longer than a day or two. I think it'll be perfect. Anyway, check out my my Facebook page for any updates and photos, and happy growing, everyone.